So very warm welcome from Rockhampton. We're in Queensland on the east coast of Australia. We're flying up to Hamilton Island, which is part of the Whitsunday Islands. So essentially we're just between Cairns to the north and Brisbane to the south. It's a route of about 200 miles. Nothing terribly tricky, but it'll be very, very scenic. We're sitting in the Hartmann ATR42-600 QantasLink colours, and this is Freeware Airport from flightsim.to. Very nicely done. Let me get the charts up. So here we are, Navigraph charts with the lovely satellite view. Here's Rockhampton and Hamilton Island up here, Whitsunday Islands. Very scenic approach. It's just a straightforward, looping, curvy RNAV, descending RNAV to runway 14, and the departure will be from runway 15 on heading 148 to 1300 feet. Then it's a right turn to Adlos, and then a further right turn to Muglu at or above 7,000. So that will be our initial altitude. Okay, so without further ado, let's get going. Let me bring in the flight plan. We'll set the flight plan and we'll set the fuel, get the payload loaded. Okay, and for those of you that know the ATR, it has got hasn't got an APU, but it has got what's called hotel mode, which uses the number 2 engine to provide air and electricity to power the systems. But of course you can't have the propeller running all the time on the ground, not with the ground crew servicing your aircraft, refueling it and loading it. So it has what's called a prop brake, which stops the prop from turning, but the engine's running at low idle. So let's get the master battery on, get the emergency lights on, we'll get our nav lights on, and the first thing we've got to do, check that the parking brake is on, that the gust lock is on, condition levers and throttles are idle and cut off, and we need to energize the auxiliary hydraulic system. So we just press the little button here a couple of times, energize the system, and then we unguard the prop brake and flick the switch, and we can see the prop brake is now on. We guard the prop brake again, and we're going to use crank starter A. Let's get the fuel pump on for number 2, and we'll get number 2 fired up. And we're looking for 12, I believe, to get on N2 to get the condition lever to low idle. There it is. So it's turning, burning, fueling and oiling. Get rid of the muster caution. And once that comes online, the other systems will follow. So there we go. We've got the rest of the systems coming up. While we're waiting for those, let's get the FMS, the MCDU FMS1 init page, POS init, GPS position, and the init position goes amber, and we press sensors in it, they go green. There we go. Now we go to the weight page, make sure all the weights are in, and they are. And now we go to the performance, and we're going to fly at flight level 180, so that's 18,000, and that goes into right 1. There we go. So back to the flight plan page, and we're going to put our departure and arrival in. So it's runway 15 on the Tara 4, and then we execute, and then we scroll down to Hamilton Island. We do the RNAV 14 whiskey, and we do execute. So let's look at the flight plan very quickly. We go next page, because I know there'll be an error, which is that Hamilton Island will be in the flight plan as part of the route, which is just a discrepancy on my part in SimBrief. So I'm just going to delete that and move the RNAV positions one up. So get rid of that Hamilton Island, get rid of the disco, and then we do execute. So we're all good, we're all set up. Flight plan page, and we go to the progress page on the first officers, go to surveillance, change our squawk. We're going to go 2526, which you may recognise as being the one I tend to go for, and do altitude off. Okay, and transponder on. Right, so what we've got to do is to set the V speeds, which are on the performance page here, and we're going to set them onto the PFD. So we press select, that goes magenta. Next we need to get the map mode showing. Sorry, we need to get the aircraft data to accept the values that we got. Now we could go for a derated takeoff, we're not going to. So we confirm the takeoff data, and we go back to the map, and we've just changed the format to the ARC. Okay, so we're all good. We need to get the heading sorted out, so it's a heading of 148, initial heading. We've got, and it was at or above 7,000 for the initial altitude at Mudlow. So let's dial in 7,000. 7,000 we have. Okay, so I think we're pretty good now. So we can get the aircraft, the cargo door and the main door closed. There we go. A bit too late to see them. The wheel chocks are on, so we'll just check that the parking brake is on, and it is. So we'll remove the chocks, and we'll call for a pushback. GSX won't talk to us because we've got the engine running, so we'll use the L pushback helper. And we'll get pushed back to this point here. We're going to do an intersection takeoff. Press enter. And have we got somebody to help us? Press push. There we go. So we need to get the beacon light on. Emergency lights are armed. No smoking, no devices. Fasten seatbelts, no devices. Crew oxygen can come on. It's a bit dark in here, so we're going to get the panel lighting. Okay, so we've got our rampy, so we can press release, press hold, and we start our pushback. Oh, we're going without our rampy. Oh dear. Bye. Right, so let's get number 1 fired up. Fuel pump can come on. We're on starter A, and we press the starter. Again, we look for it on N2 here. Then we can get the condition lever up to low idle. There we go. Condition lever. And it's now turning, burning, fueling, and oiling. So we're happy with that. Oh, it's caught up. Fantastic. Okay, so we've got one prop going, but we need to get our other prop going. So we energize the hydraulic system again, and now we can switch off the engine start, and we open the guard and flick the switch, and you'll see unlock come up in red. There we go. So now if we look outside and guard it again, we look outside, both engines are going, both props are going. Okay, so we can get windshield heat and probe heat. That's a probe heat and windshield heat. And we'll get the park brake on. Okay, pushback is complete, so we can close that down. Caution light on the panel. We can get surveillance, put altitude encoding on. And I don't think we need the weather radar today, but we do need one stage of flap. But before we do that, let's get the engines revved up. So we need to go to auto on the condition levers. So up they come. And you'll hear them spooling up. You'll see them spooling up. make it a lot faster. There we go. Okay. So now we can put the systems on. And taxi light. One stage of flap. And we've got gust lock on. One stage of flap. The 42's got 3 stages. The 72's got 2 stages. We just need 1 stage for takeoff. So we're going to look around. So clear on the right, clear on the left. We're going to use this intersection takeoff here. This runway is more than long enough for this ATR. So I'm going to release the parking brake, and we will start to move towards the rampy. So let's not run them over. Death wish, go away. Okay, so here's the holding point for runway 15. So just check to the right, we're clear. Left, we're clear. So we'll get the landing lights on, strobe light on. And on the ATR, a bit like the Airbus, you've got a detent on the throttle quadrant. It's called notch. It's this white area here. You bring the throttles up to there, and then the FADEC takes over. Right then, so we just do a quick line up onto the runway. Okay. So before I do that, let's get the flight director on. Go to nav mode, so it's following the nav cues for lateral guidance. We'll switch our gust lock off, and I think we're ready to roll. So I'm going to use a little bit of forward pressure on the control because I find the trim system not very good. It sort of auto levitates if you don't give it a bit of forward pressure. So we bring the throttle levers up, make sure they're all nice and steady, and bring them up to the notch. We're in the notch. Release the brakes, and the elapsed timer will start. It'll do that on its own. Keep that center line, so 70 knots we've got. Bit of forward pressure, and coming up to V1. V1 and rotate. Keep that center line. See the elapsed time has just come on. Positive rate. Gear can come up. And we're going to climb an indicated airspeed mode, so we'll click that on now, which is there. So we've got LNAV, I believe. LNAV, there we go. That's going to give us lateral guidance. And it's 1,300 feet. We start our turns. We can't do that yet. But what we can do is go to climb power. Climb power, and now we can start a right turn. Okay. Keep those crosshairs centered. Flaps can come up. So you put the autopilot on, autopilot yaw damper, LNAV, indicated airspeed mode. So we're all good. Should climb at 160 on the speed, and we can now just do some tidying up. So we can get rid of our taxi light, and we're now established on sort of the crosswind leg of the departure, passing 3,300 feet at 160 knots, set on climb power, and the condition levers are on auto, and the throttles are in notch. So I know when they're in notch because I've got it marked on my throttle quadrant. There's not a cloud in the sky. There's no reason to put our weather radar on today. But there might... Oh, no, there is cloud. Look at that. Where did that come from? So let's get the weather radar warming up. There we go. So it's on standby at the moment. So just coming up to the waypoint. We're going to get to 7,000 feet on the QNH, which I forgot to set. 1017, my bad. 1017. So we can get to 7,000 feet just before we get to this first waypoint. And what we need to do also is to center our heading bug. So we'll press the heading knob here, and that will center the heading bug, which is good airmanship. ATC have given us continuous climb now to flight level 180, which is very kind of them. So we'll just dial 180 into the altitude window. Set and checked, and we're just about to start our downwind turn now. There we go. There goes the lateral guidance, and we'll reset our heading knob. It's good airmanship to do that. I'll just bring it around. So the aircraft is climbing very happily at 160. It's all predetermined in the computations of the airplane. There we go. Heading knob is centered, and we're all good. We can zoom out a little bit, and I think it's showing our top of climb is just about here, Dornu. So 160 indicated, true airspeed 184, ground speed 192. So the next event will be 10,000, when we'll do lights off and let them out of their seats. And yeah, there's a bit more cloud. What's the weather like in Hamilton? It's a bit blowy this morning. We are actually, oh no, hang on, METAR. Oh, 110 at 27 knots. It's runway 14. 30 degrees off, so it's a third of 27, so at most it's 10 knots crosswind. It's fine. Right, let's reset the heading knob. So as I said, next event is 10,000. Have a quick look outside. And 10,000 we have. So lights can come off. Let them out of their seats. And I think everything else is good. So we can sit back and relax a little bit. And I'm going to pop it onto double speed until we get up to the cruise. So the transition altitude is 10,000. We're above 10,000, so we can get to standard pressure. Standard set. Came up to the next waypoint. And again, we can just reset our heading knob. Let's look again outside. are the temperatures outside? Where do you find those? There we go. So 10 degrees. It's passing flight level 140. 4 to go. Waypoint, and again we'll get the heading button centered. So passing 156 for 180. Still 160 on the climb speed, which is true air speed 210 and a ground speed of 219. 10 knot tailwind, pretty much quartering tailwind. So the next event will be levelling off at flight level 180. And when we do that, we'll bring the power management to cruise. I don't know why I had trouble moving this. It's never given me trouble, but recently it seems to. It's very sensitive the way you click it. Either does one engine or the other, but anyway. So 600 to go. Remember, we're on double speed, so it looks like it's going twice as fast as it really is. So captured altitude and 18,000 we have. Okay, altitude captured. Lovely. So let's get cruise power on. The speed will build probably to where this magenta marker is 200 or so knots. Probably giving us a ground speed 290, something like that. Let's have a look. So let's look out the window. So a little bit more cloud. I don't think there's going to be anything very convective in that, but can't quite tell what's happening over here. So let's get the weather radar on. Just at left bank at the next waypoint. Again, we'll just centre the heading knob. We'll go outside for a quick view. So we've stabilised on the speed. 202 indicated, which is true airspeed 273, ground speed 282. So that's not bad really, is it? I've seen worse. Right, so let's go outside and we'll enjoy the view, and then we'll get to top of descent. But before we do that, we'll brief on the approach. Okay, so we'll see you a little bit further down the line. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the approach. So this is the RNAV RMP Whiskey to runway 14, and it begins at Ovron at 4,000 feet. And then we go to Hotel Mike 843, max speed 180, 3,500 feet. Then 842, then round to 841, max speed 165. 841 is the final approach fix, and you need to be there at 1,500 feet. And we should get the weather. So it's 4,000 feet at Ovron, okay, and we have flight level 180. We need to lose 14,000 feet, and we'll do that with the 1 in 3 rule. So 14 times 3 gives us 42, so we'll call it 45. And if we look at the chart, wouldn't quite tell us the distances on this. So we want to be 45 miles away from what's it called? That waypoint. Ovron. So we'll look at the MCDU. Ovron is 51 miles. So what we can do, we can just start to, well, we'll switch off the sim rate selector. Just go back to normal speed. And we'll now switch it off. Okay, and when we get to 45 miles, we can start an 1,800 foot descent into Hamilton Island to be at Ovron at 4,000 feet. So let's remind ourselves of the weather. So the QNH is 1017 at Hamilton Island. So we can dial in 4,000 feet. We'll centre the heading bug before we do that. Dial in 4,000 feet. Feet we've got. Transition altitude is 10,000. We're just coming up to our top of descent very shortly. Just going to zoom out a little bit on the map. So top descent's about 10 miles away. That's according to the aircraft systems. And I don't think that the VNAV is very reliable in this. So I will use the vertical deviation scale here on the primary flight display, but I will keep to it with vertical speed mode, and I'll dial in the feet per minute that I want. So we've got 4,000 set. Probably got 5 miles or so to the top of descent. We said 45 miles, didn't we? So we're about 41 miles from Ovron, so I think we're good to start coming down. So we'll come down at about 1,800 feet per minute, and we'll see how that pans out. So of course we're going downhill now, so we're going to speed up. Just going to bring the power levers back just a fraction. I don't want to go too fast. Just nudge them back a little bit, so we stay on the magenta marker. So we've gone past the top of the set, so now we've got the vertical deviation scale showing, the index showing. That's the magenta box that we want to try and keep in the middle. So at the moment we're just marginally below the ideal glide, the ideal descent path. So we're coming down at 1800 feet per minute. Let's try 1700. There we go, 1700 set and checked, and that's brought the magenta box right into the middle. There. Oh, that looks good. Okay, so let's look at our speeds. So performance page, we've got the approach of 103 and it gives us the runway length here. That's good. So we'll come in at 111 and over the numbers at 103. So what can we see outside? Oh, there's a lot more cloud here. So it's nudging up towards the barber pole. So we'll just bring our throttles back a little bit. We really don't want to be breaking these speed limits. Okay, so 14, flight level 140, we'll strap them back in, so we'll get the seatbelt signs back on. And so 1700 feet per minute seems to be doing quite a good job of keeping us on profile. So 111 and 103. Yeah, it's quite a bit more turbulent here, isn't it? But still, nothing showing on the weather radar. Just to remind ourselves, we've got Ovrant 4000, 843, 3,500, max 180. So that's a limiting factor there, 180. I'm just going to bring the power levers back a little bit more. So what can we see outside? We should see some of the Whitsunday Islands. Not very much though. Okay, next event will be 10,000 and we can get our lights on. So we're now a little bit below our ideal path, so we're just going to go to 1600 feet per minute. 1600 set and checked. And of course in flattening our descent rate we'll lose a bit of speed as well, which is going to be quite good. So let's zoom in on the display. It's showing us that we're going to get to 4,000 feet after Ovrant. So 10,000 feet we've got, so we do our landing lights. Let's have a quick look outside, see what we can see. Oh yeah, there they go. So Hamilton Island will be right on our nose somewhere. The scenery that I've got is a hybrid really. It's some flightsim.to scenery that you can't get anymore. And I've just added to it a lot of ground equipment and a jetty and boats on the jetty, I should say, and cruise liners and what have you, people. So there we go, there's Hamilton Island just there, in our 12 o'clock. There's one of the cruise liners. They're probably not allowed here, but what there, you can do what you want in the sim, can't you? Look at that, isn't it lovely? So a little bit below our glide, but that's okay because I want to be at over on 4,000 feet. I don't want to be going too fast, so again I'm just going to pull the levers back a little bit. We'll go to 1,300 feet per minute. Sorry, 1,500 feet per minute. There we go. And 10,000 we have, so we should go to 1017, which is the QNH. Set. There it is. Stunning. Beautiful. Just going to follow this great big looping circular path, descending path. Okay, so we're on the QNH. We're a little bit below the glide, so we're just going to change our rate of descent to 1,200 feet per minute, which will help us slow down as well. So zooming in on the map a little bit, there we go. Okay, so right, so we're just nearing 4,000. We're just going over Ovron, so I'm going to change the altitude to 3.5. Okay, and we need to be at 180 knots there, so just going to pull the power levers back now, back to 180, which is our target airspeed. Going to move the heading bug now to 140, which is our runway heading. I've got around the long way, haven't I? Yes. Why not? 140 we've got. Right, 1,000 to go to 3.5. QNH 1017. Zoom in a bit more on the map. So we don't want to slow down too much more. We've got two big brakes on this aircraft, two big propellers, and they do slow you down very, very well. Very accomplished brakes they are. So 172 indicated, it's below the 180 max, so we're now just approaching 3.5, so we're going to dial in 1.5, which is the altitude we need to be at on the final approach fix, which we'll just remind ourselves is 841, which is here, max speed 165. Okay, so around we go, and we'll try and keep the marker the vertical deviation scale a bit in the middle, not wandering around a little bit hard to fathom what it's doing. We'll go flap 1 though now. So flap 1 we've got. We can get our taxi light on, save us doing it later, single pilot and all that. And we are a little bit high now, so we just come down on the glide a little bit more. Hamilton, some of the buildings at Hamilton Island. It's quite built up. It's away here. So we've caught up the glide path, indicating 163, 162 now. So that's below the 165. 1,000 to go. Let me just check. Are we on? Yeah. So we can do gear and flaps. Flaps 2 and gear down. Gear coming down, flaps 2. Oops. Okay, so the rest we will do visually because we're in VMC now. There's a runway in our 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock. Okay, so we'll go full flaps. Autopilot off. And we're going to look for 111 on the speed. Okay, so landing clearance we've got, landing lights are on, cabin is secure, gear is down, flaps full. And we're just a little bit slow. Let's get the nose downhill, increase the speed, 111 we're looking for. Right, there's no airliners behind me because we're going to be holding them up.
200. 100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Okay, we'll do a quick UE. We'll just taxi back. We'll vacate here and come to a stop. Okay, so we'll come to a stop here. Okay, so throttle levers to idle. Flaps can come up. Gas lock on. Running lights off. Strobe lights off. And we can taxi back to the park now. So there we go. I'm giving it the old FSX fire station. Can't quite see it. It's behind there. Oh good, we've got a fire engine right in our way. So we'll go behind him. We're the only ones here, I think. So that's fine. We get to taxi wherever you want. Let's have a look. Where is the... Okay, not my best taxiing, so let's get the parking brake on, and we'll cut the condition levers to low idle, cut number 1, and we'll get the hotel mode running on number 2. Okay, taxi light can come off and seat belts can come on, off, and then we can open up our cargo door, passenger door, and we can get the wheel chocks on and beacon light last but not least. So let's have a look outside. Both props should be off. They are. Should be more or less parked on the line, and we are, and the lights should be off, apart from nav lights, so we're all good. That wasn't my best, but heck, we walked away from it, so in that respect it was a good flight. Anyway, welcome to Hamilton Island. Hope you enjoyed that. See you all on the next one. Bye now.